I'm back again. I've done nothing but listen to this album and break it down. And this is alarming. This is not a Joe album. There's a little Joe. There's a little Travis. There's a lot of Matthew Healy. And it's not okay. This guy sucks. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay, I get it, but okay, every okay, there are two types of guys. There's so many ways I can approach this. You know what I mean? And there's there's if you put it in friends terms, there's the Joey that breaks your heart, but you knew that he was going to break your heart, and you thought that, like, you know what, I can get him to, I can fix him, I can change him, I can get him to settle down. And of course you can't, but the challenge is part of that. There's a dance to the to the whole progression of marriage. It's just like maybe two people get jaded enough and are the type B I'm about to go into next, to where that can work out or whatever. I hate the term bad boy. I try not to use it, but I think it's just in the vernacular. It's kind of what you have to do. But the toxic alpha player type, um, you know, and then the golden retriever boyfriend, who would rather play video games or whatever. He's not like into just like playing the field or whatever. Like, he's nice and safe, and there's some stability. And depending on what your childhood was like, you find a preference for one. The problem is that there's a tendency to settle down for the Joe, and they get kind of stuck on what could have been. And it's there's something, especially with like some of these, with ADHD, with some of these things where it's just like you want to conquer, and you continually be winning. And so those who are easily won over, or those who treat their girlfriend like a job, it's a job which you're bad at, or neglect, Joe. That's the whole thing. So here's the thing about limerence, especially when you're a famous musician at a young age, right? And she's probably kept away from boys, and maybe she's been kept away from girls. I don't know, but like, she's kept away from boys, and it's, you over romanticize what the relationships and things like that. And then you're touring and you're so busy that the relationship, the one that got away, is over romanticized. Also, it's kind of there's so many lies you tell yourself. Like, he's got some growing up to do. He probably said that too. He's got to sow his wild oats, go be a rock star for a little bit. He'll chill out. He'll come back. And so we have this beautiful motif with Peter coming from out of Cardigan. Cardigan, as I've talked about on the channel before, evokes Never Neverland. And Tinkerbell is too, she's a little tiny bear. She can't kiss. And so, that the thimble was like passed back and forth as like that affection and gratitude or whatever. But then we've got Peter chasing Wendy and that whole thing. But like the cardigan in itself is like the thimble, leaving the cardigan at his house, and then coming back and get it, and it's like passing it back and forth as if it was a kiss. It was like a romantic gesture. It probably really happened, but it's also like an old friend, an old familiar thing. And the limerence and the comfort, the emotional regulation that happens from having that limerent person, that's different than the reality. Sometimes better. Sometimes that's always going to be different. The more you can communicate your needs, the less you're at egress. So the thing is he is larger than life, taking this huge part, in her mind, and and probably a lot of other women's minds as well, because that's the way with this type. Second part is, okay, so that's maybe the how we got here. And so out of the slammer is this whole situation of like, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you get out of jail? What's the first thing you do after winning Super Bowl? Go to Disneyland. What's the first thing you do? Out of slammer? I'm gonna go to Matt Healy, and he's not the fantasy. He's still kind of racist and what you say belongs in prison, right? And still short. And he was taller in her mind, I think. I don't know. She's eviscerated him. his all kinds of shots of his eyes of various angles, and it's he's kind of a drug addict and homeless. Like this is way like this is so fucked up. And she's like, wait, this is what I fucked up my deal with Joe, who's I mean, granted, and Joe kind of sucks too, but I walked away from that, and I probably Taylor might have I don't know what was going on necessarily. We can't speculate. But if Joe's the one who cheated, whatever, it might be because she was a little preoccupied too. But also, there's the Great War, and then there's the mending of fences. But just remember when Joe, or not, when Matt wrote "Sorry?" question mark into that set list, with those songs, kind of reference here a little bit. But so this you can find him in most of these songs. And remember, like he said, he would never be with Taylor because that'd be emasculating because he has to be the alpha dominant one. And like all of this Ice Spice stuff we had, her showing up in the middle of Ayrshire, not knowing the words and stuff like that. Like how did that happen? And just the tokenism that was like openly like we were gaslit that was a real friendship. It was just like, I mean, even the stories that Ice Spice would tell would just be like, okay, well, you're trying really hard to like make this like how good your friendship and how the other Taylor is, whatever. But yeah, I mean, Healy's apologized a lot of time for those comments or whatever, and there's something about that show. But we know there's a lot of the English people are just like influenced by like all the alt-right Russia stuff, as is their way. So Karma, there's Ice Spice too. But Daddy, I love him. It's not just the Ariel thing. That's something I romanced in my. And I have to say, like, this is vindicating for me because there were other fans who just like shut down the Healy thing, and I'm like, no, this is big. Like, this is fucking big. And then when she cried in False God as a surprise song, because of she was forced to break up because of, people like us were like sounding the alarm about like, just his takes. And I mean, he's put woke in that one song. I was like, wait, we don't say that right now like that, and in like a pejorative context. Like this is, it's not even our word, to use. I would rather burn my whole life down than listen to one more second, Lover House, of bitching and moaning. And that's about the people complaining about her love for Healy because all the racist stuff. She says I could forgive his sin. Even though she says both sides of it, but she protects herself by talking about he belongs to prison. And I don't even know what he did. Like, I don't think we do. No, she does probably. But I mean, and maybe just because he's just like a danger to himself and others in the drugs, stuff like that. But Vipers and Pale Dresses. That's 50s. Are you taking shots at 50s now? I don't know. She's all over the place. But she's also like doing chemicals with an E and stuff. Kelce, is that what that means? I don't know. God save the most judgmental creeps who will say they want what's best for me. Sanctimoniously performing soliloquies I've never seen. Ow, that's fired. She's right there right now about me? I don't know. Well, she wouldn't say creep if that was the case, but I thinking they can change the beat of my heart when he touches me and counteract the chemistry. And like I said, she would forgive his sins. And that's what she did. The Ice Spice stuff wasn't like, fuck Healy and it was, he's going to apologize. I'm so powerful. My propaganda machine is so powerful. I can erase Carly Kloss night. Wait, no, that's true. But it's not. My propaganda machine is so powerful. I can erase what Matt Healy did, and I can make Ice Spice thrust into every household. And she didn't make her famous, obviously she already was, but I'm saying like the Taylor bump is a thing. Like no one will fight me on that. And she put the full, it was just like, I can fix this for us. Never say anything like that again. Be careful. Blah blah blah. But he was ungrateful. Of course he is, because he's that kind of guy. Become from the Sarahs and the Hannahs. They try to save you because they hate you. This is fucking intense, right? And then Down Bad. How many videos is this gonna be? Great. Down Bad, right? They all say I'm nuts if I talk about the existence of you. And that's okay. Hello. I thought I was vindicated on the Kim K stuff, because I've been around some like manipulators like that, like trying to like fuck me over and like say messages exist that don't, and like refusing, like, I don't know, like people like have a little army of flying monkeys that just like refuse to look at evidence or whatever. I'm over it, but it's therapeutic to hear someone else who's like having, so to talk about Kim K. It's like, move on. I moved on, but like, you know it's therapeutic to still process it and just be like, I didn't deserve that. So you do that for your inner child, for your family system. Swift sings about adoring all of someone's indecent exposures, which could be a reference to Healy's past behavior. Build them a fort on some planet where they can all understand it. How dare you think it's romantic to leave me safe and stranded? And it's just like the alien song. I mean, it's I don't know. You're in the gym, you're like working, and like you're crying it out. But like, yeah, I was told the same thing. Back to my first point, that I'm just like, oh, you just can't, we don't talk about him. I'm like, well, it's kind of a thing, and that kind of just pushed it out of my mind. And we were just like supposed to like stick with that, like just like we don't talk about like Kanye or whatever. It's like, no, she was faking the whole Eras tour that she wasn't heartbroken. And I mean, that's gonna be in here. Pretend your birthday every day, right? The whole time, it wasn't just like the little tear that got beneath the surface. You could tell she's sad. And how many people did we hear like, oh, she's sad because it's Joe. She's sad, yeah. It's like, oh, we're getting another break. So that was the like denial pre-breakup album. This is the real breakup album for Joe. Joe's gonna get his due. Tortured Poets thing. Hear me now. William Bowery is not a fucking poet. He did not write those songs that were Gaylor coded. We're not going to talk about that. Don't turn off because you hear that. But Taylor wrote those songs. And if you think I'm wrong, go watch the Folklore documentary and the Lost Sessions. And it's just like, watch Jack's face when she forces him by sheer willpower and she like using her like witchy like eye contact to like get him to go along with the fact that Joe wrote these lyrics instead of like her like writing from, because Jack has a really hard time lying. He does not like to do it. Like he's a real dude. Like he's one of the best dudes out there, and like he's like trying to like go like, oh, it's just a bit and go along the idea that like Joe's here writing a poem or something. And so this is just, and Taylor's just doubling down here or whatever. And maybe that really was the group chat, but I'm telling you, this is Matt Healy, and there's just something here about she's really, everything's coming out. Teenage pestilence here. It's just like she's not allowed to talk about. And neither are Swifties. No one's allowed to like acknowledge what is really. Her heart is broken over this person that she was sort of pining for the whole time. As soon as I get out the slam room, I'm going to do this thing, and then the letdown. And so what's supposed to be the summer of her life, the Eras Tour summer, is ruined. Cruel summer indeed. How pathetic. I mean, what in the world? Like, is it as if you were hired to kill me? Did you have a gun under your bed the whole time? You know what I mean? It's just like, wow. She really is just like, this is the timing. Yeah, of the whole thing. And yeah, the narcissistically just like lead on. Like that's what the guys like him, talk about narcissism. I mean, they just like, yeah, they do. There's a promise. I'm Peter Pan. I'm in Neverland. Peter at the end, right? But one day I'm gonna be a real boy. And that's the promise. We'll have a life together. But they have to do that to everybody that they are trying to win their heart, because they get off on being somebody's obsession. Which that's like song like it's like, are you stealing my heart because you want to, or is it just something you do? You know what I mean? And it's just like that concept here is just dating the rebel, the bad guy, whatever. That's just gonna she can fix them. Stealing some Olivia shots here, just like, oh, Olivia wrote that. I hadn't noticed. Come on, Sabrina. But like that's the classic bad boy thing. I can fix something or whatever. She's acknowledging like that. The 1950s shit is Joe, and this is the try to make it there. The Ariel thing. trading her voice to exist in his world. Right? It's deep. It's like Ariel. And then, I mean, who's Ursula? I don't know. A tree? I don't know. But like, God help her. Tell them that he's my man. Right? He's my man. It's giving. You know what it's giving. And then, of course, we've got the smallest man who ever lives, being ghosted, like, and then getting into his drug problem, and just, like, being so desperate for a fix that, like, you hit up your girlfriend who's, like, so heartbroken for you that, like, he's sure somebody, he's got some pills or something. I hope he didn't mention a name, like guessing or something. But you said normal girls were boring. And, oh yeah, I mean, like, Taylor's might be a little ADHD, a little covert narcissism, she says, or whatever. I mean, it's just, it's like another, borderline that can be kind of overlapping. She's not normal. She's a mad genius, mastermind, brilliant. She's articulating, the feminine experience and feminine energy with, the foresight and planning and the consciousness of, like, a classical music composer. I mean, just like this is like knowing all of the rules, knowing how to break them, with the most intentionality, from everything from the literature references to self-reference. And here we get it in sort of like a prose form. It's just like, we're so lucky. But, like, what is happening? Like, once it's forbidden and it's the exciting thing or whatever, he's a dopamine deficient junkie too. I mean, all this is like allegedly, but, like, it's I'm so glad she found Travis. Can we say that? Because, like, every time, like, any of you haters with Travis going after, like, whatever, like, he gets mad at a football game or something, like, which is like your coaches, like, would, like, they can stand up for themselves. Trust me. Andy Reid can handle his own. He does not need an army of Swifties. He's like, Andy, he's good. Like, it would not happen if he didn't like the passion and, like, knew that was part of the process for Travis or whatever. But, like, it's also not okay. Like, I don't like it. I mean, it bothers me, but, like, I mean, anger management, emotional regulation, I don't know, they're on. It's a whole, it's both sides or whatever. I have to believe he's got it under control and, like, in the relationship, and there's, like, appropriate stuff. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it shouldn't have been. I just feel like it's so much better than Healy is my point. It's just like, say what you want about that. It's so much better than this dude. This dude fucking sucks. And Travis is kind of like, there's a few dudes that are, like, so perfect that are, like, in the middle of, like, just enough bad boy, just enough golden retriever. He's got the bi-wife energy. It's like, I don't know. It's almost super. That's a different video. Okay, so it's yeah, that's what happens with these dudes. It's like it's the dopamine. It's like once the sexiness wears off, it's not forbidden anymore. And that's where she was like, I would have died for your sins. I would have, fixed the ice by thing. You would have said more things. But no, you're just gonna get. Yeah, she's realizing. And surely she knew, right? Never trust a narcissist. Remember that, Taylor? Remember you said that? Remember when you said that you play the... Oh, the hubris. So, but it's Travis who's got her, like, wanting to be a girl, Normally she could play the backup basketball, but it didn't work out. But she, in her mind, you think the same thing. You think that you can. But there was that thing. The novelty wore off, the fun wore off, and then he's going to go back to other people's inboxes and, I don't know, his own drug problem or something like that. And then again, forbidden love, we're back to guilty as sin. And this is 10 years of stuff, all the way back to Cardigan, and it's just like, how I long for our tryst without ever... It's giving. Guilty as sin comes with an R rating, it's just, let's just say he wasn't in the room, but you know, he was on her mind. And but there's like, you know, which is like how very 1990s different to be like guilty about this. But I think it's the person, right? Because she was with someone else who was with Joe when she wrote it. So there's that. And we have the title track. You know, and there was the Torturous Men's Club, which is, you know, Joe talked about with, you know, Andrew and Paul and all that. But, like, you know, first of all, this sounds like a 1995 or 75 song, right? It sounds like their vibe. And you know that's what she does. She does that's a John Mayer and whatever else. It's just like kind of it's her move. She's gonna use it. Or Jack's move, I guess, right? In this case, he's evoking that. Probably our idea. And then, you know, we're not Dylan Thomas or Patti Smith. We're just idiots together, you know. And okay, I said this like not even thinking about this line earlier about how Travis is like the alpha golden retriever. He's got kind of he can go either way, you know. Maybe he's ready to settle down. If you're going to, the thing is like we Americans, we know what we have when it's in front of us. We don't get that thing and think I could do better or I deserve it. It's an English entitlement. You still call us the colonies, and I'm just kidding. I love us English people. Don't roast me. But yeah, I'm just saying that like Travis is like he knows he's with Taylor Swift. He's you know y'all know that. So tattoo golden retriever. Joe does not have any. This was supposed. Y'all supposed to fall. Like Tree was supposed to fall. Fool for this. Y'all supposed to fool for this. You're all supposed to think, find a way to make Joe. It's like a tarot reading that's not about that person. You find a way to make it. And Joe's never said anything about Charlie Puth. You know who has? I mean, and I said that's a Jack, so I felt seen. You told Lucy you'd kill yourself if I ever leave. That's not something like a Joe thing to say, but it definitely sounds like a Maddie thing. We know that like Joe played like Fortnite or whatever, but I think it really just is just like it's not that nerdy thing necessarily. That's what she wants you to think, but it's more about like this English, you know, poetry, language, and it was there was it was less than 2 months that they were together in 2023, something like that. But like the actually time they spent together or whatever, you know, the move on drug did not work. But I don't know if that was like before the air steward, like a little mood regulator, something like that. I don't know. I think she could be a little borderline style, which is a good thing. You want a borderline person, you know, will love you like with the awareness and presence of like they're just unparalleled. Now they may sabotage your life, and like you really have to like have some like masculine energy to like just know that they're gonna do them and just let them do their thing. But that's another video. Flesh Out the Samurai, we kind of talked about that one. I swirled, but I didn't hit that line like all the nights he kept me lonely, I swirled you in my poems. Both. And now we're at the starting line. It did my time. You know, I know how my first call will go. Okay, at 23 minutes, I think we hit them all. God help her when I tell him he's my man, but your good Lord doesn't need to lift a finger. I can fix him. No, I really can. Wild. And yeah, Post Malone with his tattoos, my tattoos, tattoo golden retriever. That's the fantasy, is that she could make him be one, the golden retriever, I guess. I don't know. I refuse to think these songs are about Joe. And yeah, there's a few more things to get into that I'll make part of this about how there's some of these things. Okay, you left your typewriter at my apartment. Many interviews. Maddie's talked about his love for typewriters. And I'm wearing the Joe's not hat. But like, she's getting a lot of my. You know that she's just like Lavender Hasty. Like, they're like, okay, Joe had that group chat, and I'm gonna. it's Taylor is petty on this level that I just don't think that like we can ever even comprehend, let alone ascend to, and probably shouldn't because we don't have our resources. But I'm just saying, she was like, all right, I can sell this. We can make these Maddie songs seem like Joe songs. Let there be speculation. And that's a brilliant PR move. I mean, and this is a deny till you die type of girl. She is like, commit to the lie. It's reality because I said so. Then she's not. She's more borderline narcissist, but yeah, you learn some tricks being with as many as she has, and that's it. She's going to, Jack's going to try to stay, out or with Carly. Jack's going to like laugh at the idea of like Joe like writing those parts of that, for folklore. But it's like, yeah, the torture poet thing. I can make that group chat work. This can be convincing. You know, 8-7 bars of chocolate. Of course, there's that chocolate song by them. And then Lucy is a friend of Taylor and Maddie, not of Taylor and Joe. The Jehovah's Witness suit, man. I mean, Maddie does perform in live at live shows like in a suit, which, I mean, this is the roast to me era, or online. And did she not go hard? I mean, these are mean. Like, this man has been assassinated, essentially. And she kind of had to, because like, we're gonna figure it out, You could argue that Maddie is the miracle drug. Okay, so there was, London Boy is also about Maddie. I'm just kidding. No, it is like, it has the heartbeat, from a Cornelia or whatever. It's You're Losing Me, and it's even faster. It's like, it's frantic, but it's like, I don't know, like the relationship of the body cannot be saved, So I think we can, maybe Joe's kind of like, I don't know. We need to walk back a little bit of the slander here, I think, because I think she might have Maddie on the mind, and like, yeah, there are more of these we can get into. But we know who the tattooed golden retriever is. Alright, I could do this all night. Yeah, I'll try to refine this and do a shorter version here soon, but here we are. Just a product of all my notes from today. I think we got to do everything. Some of these aren't Maddie Healy notes, they're just